was watching this Will Smith video, and he said something very, very important. He said, "I'm going to try to lay this brick right here as perfectly as a brick can be laid." So August 4th, we're going to lay the first brick.
All right, so we're doing our Modern Era Dynasty series, talking about all the teams that had great dynasties, great teams. We're talking about the Big Three Celtics, Showtime Lakers, Jordan's Bulls, Duncan Spurs, the Miami Heat, Golden State Warriors, all those great organizations and teams. But there's a lot of teams along the way that did not get a chance to have that great dynasty that should have been there. Ryan, what is a team like that first comes to your mind?
Without question, Shaq and Penny, Orlando Magic of the 1990s.
When I'm thinking about something like that, I'm thinking about Kevin Garnett or like Paul Pierce. You know, the 07, 08 Boston Celtics.
The team that only one championship, but they talk like they got 4 or 5 or 6
or 7. Yeah.
Or 7. Right.
Yeah.
What about Shaq and Penny? What about Shaq and Penny though?
Talk about a team that had all the potential in the world, all the tools to be successful. You know, 92, 93, Shaq arrives in Orlando, immediately makes a contribution. Immediately, you know, Orlando, who up until that point, you know, had been, you know, I guess you could say between bad and mediocre, more so towards bad. They get, you know, 41-41, you know, 50% win percentage. And then, you know, Penny arrives the following year after Shaq. And I think Penny is underrated as a point guard. Not many people know just how good and how skilled that guy was. But Shaq and Penny were a lethal duo. Young in their career, still had a lot of room to grow. You can look at their numbers and tell each year they got better. You know, they were both on an upward trajectory, and they would have done some great things had they stayed together. And I think really at the end of the day, you know, the person that stood in their way in the Eastern Conference, you know, you guys may have heard of his name before, maybe not, but Michael Jordan was really the nail in the coffin.
No, we refer to him as the GOAT.
Two events took place that really led to the destruction of that Orlando Magic's team. Number one, as we said, was Michael Jordan. You know, 1996. You know, Mike comes in clearly with a vengeance, puts Orlando down. That summer, it was bad. It was bad. And that summer, you know, rumors start swirling. You know, in the city of Orlando, is Shaq worth, you know, $115 million over 7 years? Shaq catches wind of that. LA offers him, I believe it was 121 over the course of 7 years. Shaq says, "Deuces, I'm out." And that was that. And it was just a horrible waste of a talent combination. When you think about if they had stayed together, you know, I think of, obviously we still had Jordan, that still would have been a problem. But, you know, that was wrapping up towards the latter part of the 90s. So really, I think of it like this, that Shaq and Kobe, the way that we speak of Shaq and Kobe as a combination, we could have been speaking of Shaq and Penny.
Interesting.
Okay, so then looking at the Celtics, you know, starting out in 2006, 2007, you know, with these big names, you got Rondo, Perkins, Tony Allen, Gerald Green. You know, and then they pick up Kevin Garnett in 2007 to finish the season out at 66-16 and to be an NBA champ, beat those Lakers. But you know, unfortunately, with KG getting injured in 2009, like that's going to hold you up. Like, you know, a big forward like KG, you're going to need that production. And you're missing something like that, you know, something's definitely going to go wrong.
Especially running into Dwight Howard. I mean, at that time, it was just physically dominant and the backbone of the Orlando defense. It's hard to get a lot of buckets when you don't have that paint presence like Kevin Garnett was.
Yeah, for sure. the defense, that tenacity, just some aggressive player as KG. That's definitely some hard counter Williams.
Yeah. For me, I gotta say Oklahoma City, and just listen to this, okay? In 2007, they draft Kevin Durant. That same draft, they get Jeff Green at the 5th overall pick. 2008, you draft Russell Westbrook at the 4th pick. That same draft, you draft Serge Ibaka. In 2008, you have his rights, and I think they don't cash in on his rights until 2009-10 season when he actually comes over to America. And then in 2009, you draft James Harden. That could have been one of the most dangerous starting fives for the next 8 years. For the next, for the next 10 years, because James Harden is an MVP. Russell Westbrook was an MVP. Kevin Durant was an MVP. Ibaka, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, almost every other year since he's been drafted into the NBA. You have a guy like Jeff Green, who the term Swiss Army knife, Swiss Army knife type players do it all: rebound, defend, shoot, get a bucket every now and then for you if you need one. Somebody you throw the ball to. In 2010 to 2011, the first mistake you made was trading Jeff Green for Kendrick Perkins. Then you have to decide, okay, well, I don't want to be in luxury tax, so why don't we let James Harden walk and pay Serge Ibaka? That was a mistake. You should have went into the luxury tax. You should have paid both of them their money. You keep all 5 of those guys together, because if you look at the situation that happened with Golden State, they paid Steph, they paid Clay, Draymond got his, Andre got his, Sean Livingston was able to be brought in. They gave Kevin Durant his money. They went into the tax over and over and over again, and then they ended up turning themselves into a dynasty, pretty much doing the same thing that OKC did. They drafted their guys, they groomed them, they built a system around them. The only problem is upper management just didn't want to pay people. Granted, you say, well, let's go back to the drawing board and set something up for the next couple of years, but the first order of business should have been securing that lineup, because you have James Harden, who can run the point, Russ at the 2, KD at the 3, Jeff Green 4, Ibaka at the 5. You run a small skill lineup. You can switch everything pretty much. It's a great lineup, and you drafted Reggie Jackson.
And you see how good these Russ, James, and KD are doing now.
Yeah.
If you keep them together in one team, that's rings.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it would have been crazy to see that OKC squad go up against Golden State. When they're making their run.
Oh, Golden State would have got obliterated. They would have got obliterated right off the bat.
Right.
And how I know that is because the way them as individuals played against Golden State. If you put them on the same court, you have Russell Westbrook playing off ball. You have James Harden handling the ball, and KD, pick a spot. Go any spot you want to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how they beat Dallas. That's how they beat the Lakers. Why not keep that thing going? And 2014, Miami was vulnerable in the finals. You would have had to go through San Antonio, which, with those 3 guys, I think you could have done it, but you would have faced Miami in the finals, you probably would have won. That was a championship right there. I second the Orlando Magic. I second that with Shaq and Penny. The only thing is that I say about that is coaching. The Lakers had Phil Jackson. Orlando, they didn't. So that's it for me, because you gotta have somebody to build a system where Shaq and Kobe can coexist.